Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a beautiful 22nd of June, 2021. Coming up, the Crusty podcast, episode 135. Who watches the Watchers? Bill C-10 has passed in the House of Commons, just awaiting for the Senate to say yay or nay before the summer sitting, and more political BS from our military leaders. All that and more coming up in the show. Please stick around.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me.
Yes, sir.
There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worthless.
From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast, a Canadian veteran's point of view on political, social, economic issues and life. Here's Crusty.
Well, smack my ass and call me Judy.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, episode 135, the Crusty Canuck podcast. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck. Yes, Bill C-10 has passed in the House of Commons. That's right. The Liberals, the Bloc, and the NDP are all for it. Basically, C-10 is an amendment to the Broadcast Act, which basically is going to monitor what you, what everybody else is going to do online. Now, I've seen different versions of it since November 2020 when it was first tabled or when it was first motioned. And to sum it all up, based on what I've read and seen, it's going to tell people like you and me what we can see online, what we can do online, all that good stuff in the name of Canadian content. Now, that's a broad term, ladies and gentlemen, because there's lots of Canadians that I've listened to, different shows, different formats, different blogs, what have you. And not all of them mention that they're from Canada, not all of them mention that are Canadian, and it doesn't really matter. The thing being, if you want to protect Canadian content in this country, we already have Canadian content laws that I believe came into effect in 1980, if I'm not mistaken. And I remember Second City made a big stink about it because they made fun of it, right? What's the sense of doing comedy if you have to do everything Canadian? So what they did, they created Bob Doug McKenzie. So you can thank Dave Thomas and Rick Moranis for that, But needless to say, it created something good, something fun, something real, and really just kind of laughed in the face of the administration. But I digress. Last night in the House of Commons, they debated until about 1:30 in the morning, and then they gave it to the Senate to pass. And they got 2 days before they decide to sit for the summer and have their holidays and go la, 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 while the rest of us are trying to get our work and get our bills paid and all that good stuff. The typical dynamic. So let me tell you about C-10. We know it's not we know it's not a good thing. Honestly, we don't. We know it's not good for you or for me or for anybody else who just wants to make a living online or wants to do a podcast like yours truly, or anyone who does a video series or a blog series, even as far as it goes to people trying stuff on. There's lots of those channels on the tube today. Certain people trying this on, trying that on, all that good stuff. But, needless to say, it's not good for you or me. And based on everything that I have read and the articles that have come and gone via National Post and other media outlets, and I'll leave the descriptions, the link for you, my listeners, to decide. Okay. It's a shit show. How else do I say it? Right? Stephen Gobert can never make up his mind. They've filibustered the whole thing. They have stalled, and they've amended this and amended that, trying to make sense of the whole thing. Now, I'll leave a video here from one of my internet friends, Greg Wycliffe there. He's a member of the PPC party. However, he's quite comedic, and he does make some great videos. So I'll let you, my viewers, to decide exactly, what to think based on what he has said in this whole conglomerate. Just a real shit show. Pay attention here.
Some questions around Bill C-10. I'm a Canadian. My name's Greg. Bill C-10 was passed last night. This is going to affect Canadian internet in many different ways. I made a bunch of TikToks responding to certain comments, so I'm just going to post them all here in this video. Comment 1, this guy is asking about, don't these rules already exist? Aren't we just applying CRTC rules to the internet? So Bill C-10 is the Broadcasting Act, and yes, the CRTC applies to TV, radio, and newspaper. These are mass mediums. If I own a TV station, a radio station, or a newspaper, I can sell advertising. I can have my own business. CRTC hands out the licenses, and along with that, there's a whole bunch of rules of the content, how Canadian it has to be. There's a lot of rules. If you consider that I could just pick up my cell phone and make a video like this, and now the rules are going to apply to me and you and anybody who makes a tweet or posts anything, makes a website on the internet, how are they going to reconcile all that with these new rules? There's so many question marks about how they're going to do this. And that's why people didn't think it was a good idea. That's why they added an amendment to exclude user-generated content, which they took out. And now we're being told, just trust us. We'll enforce the rules fairly. Comment number 2, the guy's asking, how bad is this? Can I express myself online anymore? So obviously, big tech censorship is already a problem. And for those who follow the patterns of big tech censorship, you would know that, aside from the obvious stuff like real hate speech, there seems to be political patterns that dictate what is and is not allowed. Never officially, right? Never really officially does it say we are going to allow transgender people to talk about all sorts of craziness and the end of gender online. But we are going to ban a conservative for, ever bringing up Christian values. That's never explicitly explained in big tech censorship, but you can see the pattern. This new layer that's going to come with Bill C-10 is going to be similar to that. They're never going to say, oh, we're going to stop your speech if we don't like it. But in function, in practice, that's what's going to happen. If you're posting content or memes about the wrong political issue, they'll find an excuse to ban you. This third comment is really cute because it's a liberal talking point, talking how big tech platforms never give back to Canadians, so we need to tax them. Aw, this commenter's repeating a liberal talking point. $500 million into Canada's economy. This goes into the pockets of Canadians. Oh, liberals didn't mention that part, did they? Same thing with YouTube. $923 million in 2020 alone. That's the equivalent of 34,000 full-time jobs, full-time employees in Canada, thanks to these evil big tech giants. Big tech has its problems, but it's giving Canadian artists an opportunity to grow, more so than the government. If you tax Netflix for operating in Canada, it's going to get more expensive for Canadians. This was another concern that was completely ignored when this bill was being passed. Never take what a politician says at face value, especially if it's very sketchy legislation. And this hate speech stuff isn't part of Bill C-10, but it's really, really bad news. And finally, this fourth comment is somebody who's saying, oh, why don't we talk about, education pay cuts? Why don't we talk about something else? As if Bill C-10 and internet censorship isn't that big of a deal. Some people commenting really do not see the gravity of this Bill C-10 thing. An important part of democracy is being able to criticize the government. The news media is supposed to do this, but our Canadian news media is already paid off by the government, so they're not very critical. And over the past year, with the COOF, they're even banning types of in-person protests. Usually a protest is to criticize the government and push for some sort of change. And now with Bill C-10, every opinion, every social media post, every website can be looked at by the government and deemed non-essential, un-Canadian, harmful content. And if you don't think this will be enforced upon people who are being critical of our government, then you're very naive. This already happens in other countries, and it's not pretty. So that's it for now. This bill still could be stopped in the Senate, so keep your fingers crossed, keep those hopes up. Otherwise, we can't be silent about this. We need to use our freedom of speech more than ever online before we lose it for good. I'll continue to cover this stuff. If you want to support me, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, and thank you, Greg Wycliffe, for that, especially your permission for letting me use that there, Sunshine. Thank you very much. Needless to say, so like he said too, what would we be deemed unessential? Would we be deemed un-Canadian? I'm Canadian. I have it in my logo. I show Canadiana all the time. It's behind me, Canadian history, roots, origins, the history of this nation, right? That doesn't make me an empire loyalist. That doesn't make me a colonial. That makes me a Canadian. Why? Because I appreciate Canadian history. And he sums it up very well when it comes to C-10. Dissenting views, right? So they're sitting here saying that we're going to protect Canadian content with all this. And like I mentioned earlier, we already have Canadian content in our laws as it is. We already have a hate speech laws too. You can't say anything racist, can't say anything bigoted. We know that already. So why they put an emphasis for us online too? Dissenting views, because the federal government has already bought the media to the tune of $695 million, bailouts for this paper, bailouts for this conglomerate, bailouts for this radio company, bailouts for the CBC, not to mention how much taxes the CBC get too. And in recent events as well, the CBC has canceled or diluted or got rid of all their comments when it comes to their Facebook page and YouTube pages. So you can't post a comment when they put something up there. I wonder why. Because, their feelings might get hurt. They might, have a good cry or something. They might get offended. Oh, I don't know. Oh, my goodness. What are we going to do? We're going to have to keep trucking on, folks, and start fighting the good fight.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
And carrying on too, please, if you like and hear what you see, please click like and subscribe and share this all around. I'm also branching out on other media platforms too. I'm branching out on Gab, as mentioned, also Odyssey, Brighteon, and Rumble too. So you can find me there. Just look for Crusty Canuck on those above mentioned. And try me at Supercast. $5 a month gets you all of my audio episodes, censorship free. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. All of the Crusty Canuck audio episodes on Supercast. It's a Canadian-based company, helping Canadian podcasters such as myself and others to get the word out there. So please check me out in Supercast. And we're carrying on again. Who's watching the watchers? So let's say hypothetically that Senate does pass this in record time, because it's about a day and a half before the great leaders and overseers that we all come to love, pardon the pun, are going to take a summer break. Some would say well-deserved. I don't say it's well-deserved, because not enough of them have actually gone to work to deserve any kind of summer break. Okay. And let's say the Senate does pass it. Then what's going to happen? Right? I could speculate, say we're going to have to fight harder to get in different platforms. We're going to have to rally to say no to the CRTC and other governing bodies that are going to tell us that we can't do this and can't do that, by showing them that we can and we will do this. Right? I wonder if there's going to be violence over this too. Makes me think, because every province has had their restrictions when it comes to lockdowns. Every province has had its closure of businesses and different rules for thee and different rules for them and different rules for this guy and different rules for that guy, telling us to stay home. Yet some of them are flying all over the country and all over North America and other parts of the planet to look after their interests, while us, young plebes are sitting around getting table scraps, looking for work, whatever. Now, I'm better off than some people that I know personally, and that's not a bragging point. That's just the chances I've taken. Okay. And there's also talk too of creating another UBI. That's on the table as well too. A universal basic income to replace the CERB or the CEBA, right? So making more and more people reliant on the government teat. And for what? Right? To say, Justin's doing a real good job. He's my hero. Yeah, okay. You've heard me ramble on just enough. But needless to say, folks, C10 does not look good for us. And it doesn't matter if you actually work for a small town paper or a small town radio station or a small town TV station, or if you even associate with the bigger wigs, right? We've all seen how mainstream media has manipulated everything so far. Okay. And what gets me too, I've only seen 2 stories today in regards to C10. I just watched Power Play and CTV with my wife, and we discussed the whole issue when it comes to censorship and the possibility of them calling election in August or maybe after Labor Day because of it too. Because if the Senate does not pass this, then hopefully the next government will kibosh it and say, sayonara, we're not dealing with your crap today. Rightfully so. Okay. And what gets me too is that they're pushing this agenda in the name of safety and to stop online hatred. Well, like Greg said, it's democratic to criticize your government. It's democratic to take your soapbox, stand there, scream at the man or the gal, whoever's in charge, and say enough is enough. So they want to stifle that, right? Or they want to make the rules so regulated and so wound up in red tape that you need a license to get a computer, and then need a license to broadcast on said computer, and get permission from said local whatever to broadcast your stuff. So it becomes a cash grab too, right? It becomes a monopoly. a whole monopoly on what you can do with your spare time, So that means people like myself, people like you that enjoy watching and listening to podcasts or other video series. It doesn't matter if someone's putting Lego together or someone's dressing in their favorite sci-fi costume or there's some little girl doing her thing in OnlyFans or TikTok, whatever, that's going to be censored, right? I don't mean little girl as in child. I mean like some female who has nothing better to do except gyrate, I draw the line at that crap too, ladies and gentlemen. I don't tolerate the whole sexuality of kids and shit like that. I don't. You've heard me ramble on that before. I believe people that play with children like that should be shot. But I'll say that for another episode. Okay. You get my point though when it comes to who goes online and does whatever they want to do. And so be it. You don't have to watch half the stuff they put online too. And you always have a choice. See, that's the thing. Before the advent of the internet as we knew it, okay, you had a choice whether what paper you want to read, what TV station you wanted to watch, what show you wanted to watch, what radio station you wanted to tune into, what movie you wanted to buy or rent. You had that choice, and we still do. But there's people that want to govern it, those choices, in the name of safety or online hate speech. Oh my goodness. I hate it when it's 50 below zero. I hate tax time. I hate disingenuous politicians, right? I don't like racists. I don't like bigots. I hate those lot too. Is that hate speech? Am I being hateful? Am I going to be censored now for saying that sort of thing? Oh my goodness. How dare you, Crusty Canuck? You really hurt my feelings. Oh, we're going to pass legislation against that too.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
And again, carrying on too, please join me on Supercast. As above mentioned, $5 a month gets you all of my audio episodes, censorship free. Hopefully, if they pass C10, we'll see what's going to happen. But we don't know exactly. We don't know. I guess we can hope, based on the speculation that I've received from my Facebook page and from other comments that I've received from viewers such as yourselves. No one knows what the story is. So we're going to have to wait till what the Senate says or what the Senate's going to do here, or what the Senate's going to do there. I mean, it's just just a giant shit show. It's just like Robert Downey Jr. said in that movie, Tropic Thunder, never go full retard. And really, it looks like our government's going full retard. So tell me what you think. Please consider donating and send me an email today too. So, and just as a reminder, let's just keep things clean, folks. I don't take any hate mail. I'll take it. Sure. If you got something hateful to say, take it. Now I might read it on the air for you. Who knows? But until that time, it's just getting to a point where, it's not good for anybody here. Not good for anybody at all. Not good for anybody at all for us in the Long Island world, as far as I know. It's not good for me, for you, for people that want to create and broadcast their own music, create their own music, And that's the thing. What's going to make it Canadian other than saying you're so-and-so and this is your band and you're from, let's say, Hamilton, Ontario, or you're from Moncton, New Brunswick, or you're from St. John's, Newfoundland, or you're from Inuvik, or you're from, Vancouver, BC. You know what I mean? And unless you say your name and this is our label and this is what we do, will that be Canadian enough? Is that the seal of approval that these powers of be are projecting? And let's say if this law does pass, though, too, are they going to amend it even further? Right? Right now in Quebec, they're talking about the whole thing of only having Quebecer music being played in government offices, Quebec artists alike and all that stuff, Weird concept, eh? Weird concept. Totally weird concept. So like the heading says, it will censor what we read, watch, promote, create, all in the name of ending hate speech and Canadian content. Now, I know it says, I'm not ending Canadian content. They're trying to back up Canadian content, right? But how are they going to do that? What makes us more Canadian than the next guy? What makes me less or more Canadian than a guy in Toronto or somebody in Windsor or Point Pelee Island, or somebody in Prince Edward Island? Let's talk about the finer points of potato crops compared to, let's say, someone talking about a grape crop for a vineyard in Vancouver, right? That's the thing. We got to be skeptical. And I prefer us to be skeptical and a little more factual too when it comes to the C10 issue, because you've heard me ramble on about Stephen Gobert, the ineffective little politician that got in trouble back 20 years ago for calling the CN Tower to save a few geese, all in the name of Greenpeace, right? And now he's trying to push legislation that's going to tell us what to see and what we can read. All in the name of safety yet again. Oh my goodness. Here we go. That's right. So anyway, carrying on, ladies and gentlemen, like I said in the title, the whole military misconduct too. Now, Gregory Lick, the military ombudsman, had a big powwow today, this morning on CTV, and I'll add that video to the description for you too. What he was saying, and more or less to summarize or paraphrase, more or less said Jagmeet Singh knew, or correction, Harjit Sajjan knew. My mistake, Mr. Singh. Harjit Sajjan knew what was going on, and he sat on it for a better part of 3 years. And according to his office, when they actually formulated the proper investigation protocols and they submitted the reports to Mr. Sajjan's office, they sat on it for another 6 months before actually going public with it and doing something about it. So not only did his office know since 2018, okay, they also sat on it for an additional 6 months. Now, whether to come up with an excuse or to look after this person or to scratch that back or to tickle those balls or tickle this belly, we don't know, okay? But needless to say, they sat on it still. So here's a very, very important thing that has to be looked after, that has to be addressed. Sexual misconduct in our military, and not just through a few NCOs here and there. This is going up right to the brass here. Okay. And I don't know about you, being an ex-military man, I really find that conduct unbecoming, right? That is something that has to be sorted out right away. Honestly, I treat the same. It's a crime. It is. How else do you look at it? Okay. And the powers that be in Department of National Defense, right? D&D, the civilian side, the minister's office sat on it. Like I said, I'll leave a link in the description for you to decide too. Mr. Lick was quite explanatory and what he found and his own personal influence and what he found and his own fight and findings and everything. So I highly suggest you watch that video there, ladies and gentlemen, and decide for yourselves. Because here's an individual, Mr. Harjit Sajjan, had a military background. Okay, he was lieutenant colonel in the reserves, and I guess he was also a police detective in Vancouver at one time. All right. But here's a guy that said that he ramrodded Op Medusa. Okay. It was his influence and intrigue that made Op Medusa what happened, made it what it was. Now, I don't buy that for one fucking second, because I remember burying the lads that came back from that battle. So I don't buy that plan that he made or whatever gesture he, illusion or delusion of grandeur that he promoted. Okay. Because if he was such an able-bodied, great military thinker, I think he would have done a hell of a lot more when it came to getting proper ships for our Navy, proper gear for our military, i.e. the Army and the reserves. And he would have done a hell of a lot better than getting old F-18s to replace our old F-18s.
Stay updated and follow Crusty Canuck on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Telegram, YouTube, and Podbean. Subscribe today and donate at crustycanuck.ca.
And furthermore, too, I think he would have been a little more outstanding and stand up and honest with those military decisions too. Okay. We all know what's happening with our services. I come across an article there on Facebook about a week ago, how one of our submarines is now ready to go after 10 years of repair. Interesting. So Canada has 4 submarines. There were submarines that were made for the British Navy at the time, used as trainers to train the British sailors and how to work on the nuclear submarines that the British have. And of course, the Paul Martin government picked them up at a rebate at a decent little price to upgrade our Navy even better, right? And last time I heard, I think that was the ship that caught fire, if I'm not mistaken, and that killed that poor sailor. And another one actually ran aground and it damaged its hull somehow. So that's still in dry dock as far as I know. But one of them's up and running. Yay, that's great. Holy shit, really? And 10 years to fix a boat. 10 years to fix a submarine that's just a little bit smaller than the conventional nuclear submarines that are out there, right? And it took him 10 years to fix it. What's that tell you, right? Not a big priority, right? Not a big priority at all. And there's another point that the ombudsman made in his little speech today, too, in regards to retention, keeping people in the military, keeping people involved, and actually advertising for people to come in, because all of our branches of service, I know for a fact, need men and women. Okay. Need people to fill in the gaps. Okay. And if anyone remembers the last bunch of commercials they had on advertising our services, my personal opinion is this: they made it look like you're going to summer camp and talk about your feelings and doing some crocheting, sitting by the fire and having a little guitar sing song, when they should be showing you the training and the discipline and the skill that comes out of it. But no, of course not. They have to be politically correct and make it look like it's one big, fun, happy fucking party, when it's not. It's professionalism, it's dedication, it's integrity, it's honor, it's respect, it's showing discipline, courtesy, not just to your fellow soldier, but to your fellow citizen too, and respect and loving for your country. But I guess we can't do that anymore because Canada's so bad. Which brings me to a brief point about Victoria canceling Canada Day and other cities canceling Canada Day too. To my First Nation listeners out there, I am sorry that you had to go through that pain. Okay? As a Canadian to another Canadian. As another human being to another human being. I cannot change. My friends and my family cannot change what happened to you. Okay? We cannot change that. But you and I, as adults, as functioning, abled, sane adults, we must go forward. Okay? We have to find the truth. I am a firm believer in truth and reconciliation. I am a firm believer in holding those people responsible that signed the papers and said yes to this and said yes to that. Okay? I am fully aware what's going on. But we got to find the truth no matter what. We have to find the truth about those 215 in Kamloops. We have to find I think the 106 in Manitoba that were found recently too. We have to find the truth, and we have to investigate it properly and efficiently with all the resources we have, and we have to do it together. Okay? Because we're only going to reconcile this monstrosity of our history until we do it together. Okay? No one here in my life that I know personally is ever going to tell you what to do with your life. You do what you want to do. But for the love of whatever gods are up there, please, let's work together on this. And still, let's appreciate this country for what it is. It is great because we do have a great history, ladies and gentlemen. We do. A couple of points of that is there a guy named Frederick Banting who created insulin. That's one good tick. Okay. How we measure time zones. That's another good tick. How we stood up for our friends and allies when we had to fight real evil, like Imperial Japan and Nazi Germany. That's one good tick too. All right. In regards to the racial dynamic at that time, I know a lot of First Nations stepped up and volunteered and did their part as well. And fucking amen to you, brothers and sisters, for doing the same thing. Right? We can't change history, but we have to learn from history nonetheless. We have to learn from those mistakes. We have to learn and work together to find a viable solution so we can move on forward and on to better things. For all of us, all Canadians, all colors, all creeds. No matter if you believe in Turtle Island, no matter if you believe in the globe, okay? All of us are in this together, regardless. I'm a firm believer in liberty and democracy. You're part of it too. You know, my homage behind me, that's to my history. That has nothing to do with Her Majesty, right? That is the history that I come from, that I represent. That's all. But I'm here too with you. I was here too. My grandparents were here. My parents were here. You know, what else can I say? I'm not a settler. I'm not a colonist. Okay? I'm not. I am a Canadian. What are you? Without trying to sound like a broken record, I had a great talk with David Moon. He has a little TV show and up in the works there on Facebook and D-Link. And I think Restream too. We had a great talk about diversity and truth and honor and respect for each other. And I got a lot of respect for that guy. Great guy. And I'm going to try to bring him onto the fastball, probably as a regular too in the next little while. So pay attention to him. I'll leave a link to his TV show there too in the description for you to decide. And you can see the interview I had with him there a few days back. Great fella, coach, father. He's a loving boyfriend. He's just a good man to his woman, to his kids. He's just a good all around fucking nice guy. regardless if he's First Nations or not. He's a man. He's a good man. And I'm tired of this racial divide that we're constantly being told all the time, too. Which brings me to the Veterans Coalition Party, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I'm not doing a campaign here by any means, but I'm letting you know, my listeners out there, my Canadian listeners and voters alike, okay, you've got a choice. Just follow the link at the bottom of the screen and in the description of my YouTube and my Podbean accounts too, and find it for yourself, okay? Truth, honor, and integrity. That's simple. Truth, duty, and integrity too, for that matter, right? It's pretty well self-explanatory. And please follow my page at the Crowfoot Battle River riding there too. I'll put up a video there sometime this evening that I did a few days back about integrity and honesty and how we should get back to our blue-collar basics again when it comes to politics in this country. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, who watches the watchers? So if they pass this legislation, the C10, and the Senate's all for it and everything else is tickety-boo, who's going to watch our government? Right? What's our government going to watch? What's our government going to do? Are they going to hire more people, create more jobs in the name of online safety and stopping hate speech? Right? Is that what they're going to do? Mm-hmm. Or are they actually going to realize that they made a fucking error because people might riot in the streets? Who knows, folks? Who knows? Who knows how it's going to turn out? Who knows what's going to happen? But let's hope that the Senate looks at it and goes, what the fuck? No, we're not passing this garbage, right? And regardless of how many times they've tried to pass it and read it and try to justify it, we've all seen the footage, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Gilbert and Trudeau and Chrysler Freeland and all other liberal aficionados sidestepping and backstepping on everything they've said about this bill. So it just goes to show how much these fuckers really care about you and me, right? Makes a point, doesn't it? And anyway, this brings me to the point of the episode where I award the ever so infamous
The Canadian Polar Vortex of Bullshit.
And with due consideration, after really thinking about it for a couple of times, all this good stuff, really thinking about who really has earned this episode's Polar Vortex of Bullshit. And the only thing I can really think of at this time is the Canadian Parliament. Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. Canada's Parliament. Now, I'm not going to pinpoint anybody in particular, per se. I will say the Liberals, the NDP, the Bloc, and a few of the conservative backbenchers that really, really didn't work hard enough to really thwart the decisions of this ridiculous federal government and their promotion of C10. So, Canadian Parliament, give yourself a round of clap for promoting C10. Well deserved, I say. Well deserved. And this has been
The Canadian Polar Vortex of Bullshit.
Yes. Well done, Liberal Party. Well done, Bloc. Well done, NDP. And well done to everybody else who supports this ridiculous fucking C10 mandate. Anyway, carrying on again. Who's going to watch the watchers, right? Not that it's going to matter because we all know Justin Trudeau beat the ethics issues that he had 3 years ago, beat the issues he had with SNC-Lavalin, is still beating the issues with the WE scandal, So my prediction is this, and based on the information I did receive from CTV News and from idle chit-chat I've had with some coworkers and friends of mine, I think if they call an election this fall, it would be after Labor Day, okay? Because I personally think that a lot of Canadians are getting tired of this shit and they want a decent summer. Because I think we've earned it, folks. I think we've really earned a decent fucking summer. I think we've earned our freedom back, regardless of how anyone feels about masks or washing your hands or the beer bug or the pandemic, or regardless of all the Carls and Karens out there who have screamed at the top of their lungs for people not wearing their mask or social distancing. and yet not worrying about the so-called leaders and bureaucrats that have taken some lovely, lovely trips while telling us common folk what to do. So something to think about, folks. And like I say, look around at the Veterans Coalition Party too, if you can. Yours truly is running in this riding, the Crowfoot Battle River riding. And I'm going to do what I can. Get out there and campaign once we get the thumbs up and we're told that it's okay that we can, campaign for an election. So keep that in mind, ladies and gentlemen, too. You have choices out there. And to my other Canadian listeners, too, look into the Veterans Coalition Party as well. PPC has got some decent points, but look at the VCP as well, too. Now, I know the leader personally. He's a good man, good solid man, good family man. He was a hell of a leader when I worked with him and worked for him. And he'll tell you straight up. He won't fuck you around. And we need more of that. We need some more straight shooters calling the crap in Ottawa. And, he's got a good gift to call bullshit when it's bullshit. So please check out the Veterans Coalition Party, ladies and gentlemen. To my Edmonton listeners too, check out Travis Caillou. He does a wonderful job in organizing and spreading information on the VCP. So please check those individuals out too. And if you have any questions towards the VCP, feel free to contact me. I'll leave my email there at the bottom of the screen here for you so you can check. Yeah, crustybcanuck67@gmail.com. Ask me anything you want to know, by all means. And the floor is still open to any of those liberal aficionados out there that want to engage me in debate. I'll set it up via live stream if you want. I'll set up my StreamYard account so you and I can have a debate about these policies, and we'll go live if you want to. I'll set it up for you. What do you say? Hey? What do you say? Sounds like a good time as far as I'm concerned. I'd do it. What say you? Right? Why not? To anybody who supports this mandate, anybody who supports all these garbage bills, please let me know. And I'll set up a StreamYard debate. So you, myself, your audience, and my audience can sit and have a good laugh. Hey? What do you say? Check me out. Just follow the screen there at the bottom. Find my email. Anyhow, ladies and gentlemen, I've been Crusty Canuck on this beautiful 22nd of June, 2021. Weather's getting hotter out there, so it's summertime. So do what you can to help each other out. Water your plants, look after your gardens, look after your loved ones, help a neighbor out, maybe help a senior out by cutting his or her grass for, once or twice a month. Give some of your time to people. Do what you can to help people out, best of your ability. Well, we're only going to change this dynamic if we bring light to this manufactured darkness, folks. And it's up to you and me to do it too. So let's say if they do pass C10, then harass the senators and harass your MPs for better alternatives to find some way. And who cares if they're going on a break in summer or not too? They've had enough breaks this year already. It must be really nice to sit at your home all day and do Zoom meetings and talk about your hair and your makeup and how much money you're making while there's other people like you and your friends and your loved ones struggling to get ahead. Something to think about this September, right? Think about it hard. But in the meantime, enjoy yourself. Go have some fun with your family and friends. Hug your loved ones. Look after your friends and neighbors and your loved ones the best you can with what you got. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, humanity and merit wins the day. Take care, and I will see you next time on the Crusty Canuck podcast. And stay posted to my YouTube page and my community page for updates, and my Facebook page for updates too. Like I say, humanity merit wins the day. Take care and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Hit it, sweetheart. Because I am hard, you will not like me. Yes, sir. There is no racial bigotry here. Here you are all equally worth.
This has been another episode of the Crusty Canuck podcast. Stay sane and thank you for listening. From Western Canada, this is the Crusty Canuck podcast.
Mama always said I had a face for radio.